I missed my whole nice intro, but it's okay. We're gonna get started with Miss Barfield. If you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, please drop them in the chat. I'll do my part in making sure that Miss Barfield and Mr. Filson answer those questions. So I'm done, Miss Barfield. I'm muting, and the floor is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Again, as Ms. Grayson said, thank you for joining the Zoom meeting to learn a little bit more about housing, about the check-in process that's going to take place on August the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. Some of your faces look familiar from our social media pages, so thank you for following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you for following us on those social media websites. We do post a lot of things on our social media because that's what our students tend to like, Twitter and Instagram. So we do post a lot of information on there concerning check-in or what's going on in our residential halls and our programming. For check-in, when the students check in, it depends on which building that they're checking into on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. There's different check-in times for each student. The first check-in, the check-in times ranges. You have about an hour, 2 hours to check in the students. So our first one will be like we start with the 3rd floor and they check in from 8 to 11, 8 to 11:30. So about a 2-hour window for students to check in. Right now, we are requiring the students to wear a mask when they enter the residential halls. I know there's been some changes as of yesterday with state buildings, but for right now, we will go ahead with the students having a mask on or anybody that they're with to have a mask on before entering the residential halls or when they go in that first time with their new roommates. Once they check in, there are 7 different locations of check-in. Each student depends on the building that they're in, they have a check-in location. The students would need to bring a picture ID. It can be a driver's license or a high school ID. A lot of students won't have their Tiger One card at the time, so they can just bring either a high school picture ID or a driver's license. We do have those students sometime to forget all of those items. There will be some extra questions that we'll ask if the students do forget their driving license or any kind of type of picture ID. We will ask a series of questions on that's listed on their My Housing portal. We'll go on their My Housing portal and may ask the student, hey, what's your parents' emergency contact number, your address, and then we'll go ahead and check that student in. Most of the area coordinators may ask for some additional information, but most of the time we will go ahead and check that student in once we identify the students. We also ask the students, and it's highly recommended for students to purchase insurance when they do come on campus. That's just in case there is a break-in, there is a flood, or just anything, or they flood the room, overflow toilets, or anything, something that they may cause that's a liability on the student. So we do encourage each student to purchase insurance. It's not through the university. Some parents' homeowners insurance will cover certain items on in their individual room. So of course, definitely check that out. We've had incidents where, the students had to pay for something if it was a fire in the space or if they flooded their room, they were responsible for those damages in that space. Of course, we in each room, of course, that student has a twin size bed. They have their desk, they have their chair, and their dresser. We supply that. The students, of course, will need to bring their bedding, their toiletries, and everything else. As far as decorations, the student would need to bring all of those items. We don't allow TVs to be hung on the walls. That's something that most students put it on top of their dressers, so they won't have to bring any extra, tables or anything. Most students put those TVs and everything on their dresser. If you're living in, if your daughter or your son living in Douglas or Wheatley, they will have to bring a cable splitter. There's only one cable port in that space. There's 2 phone line jacks, and there's 2 internet ports located in those double occupancy spaces for the students to have that connection. As far as internet service, it is through our internet and cable provider Apogee. They do have awesome Wi-Fi service in their residential halls. The only thing that the students can do is set up their account. They can set up 7 devices to that account. The gaming, a lot of students love our internet service due to the gaming, because it's pretty good. It's good internet. So yes, and they will set up their account for their internet services. The student don't have to make sure, and I'm pretty sure that everybody has a room assignment that's on this call. So the students don't have to show us their room assignment or anything. They just show us their picture ID, and everybody is electronically checked in to our halls. Couple of them, let's see.
Ms. Barfield, you want to keep talking, or you want me to ask you a couple of these questions from the chat?
Oh, go ahead. You can
Okay.
ask the questions.
So there are 2 so far. One wants to know, are you going to place students who coming in for summer 2 into dorms? Because as of right now, the status shows off campus and the student needs to be on campus.
Okay, so they would need to log into their My Housing portal and complete the on-campus housing application for summer session 1. Once they complete that, if they have selected a fall assignment, the only thing they have to do is go in and complete that summer on-campus application. The operations coordinator will give the student a call within 3 to 5 days and assign them their space, and they'll receive email confirmation of that space for the summer.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that. Also, what do you need in terms of proof of insurance? Is this renter's insurance? Do you all need to be listed on a declarations page? And also, is this Wi-Fi service shared with roommates or is it personal?
Okay, yeah, the Wi-Fi service is personal. You hook up your own account. You have your own 7 devices. So each student have their own 7 devices that they can connect to the internet service. As far as the insurance, we don't need to have proof. It's just when something happened, that's the first thing we're going to ask that student if they have any insurance to cover any kind of damages in their space. So we don't need to. You don't have to show us proof. You don't have to send us proof of the insurance. As you know, if something happens, we'll ask that student, hey, do you have, insurance to cover the damages?
Okay. So I got about 6 questions for you, but I think I can knock out a couple of them. So
Okay.
Is there a station to put bikes, and can students ride bikes to class? There are bike stations located on campus. They're not necessarily near the academic buildings, but there are bike spaces and they can ride bikes to class. The nearest airport is going to be in Monroe, Louisiana, which is 30 minutes away from here. There's also one in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is an hour in the opposite direction. So you've got 2 to choose from. So Ms. Barfield, here you go.
Yes.
They want to know where to get bed risers, and then they want to know if an event occurs with a roommate, can the room assignment be changed?
As far as with the roommate, if there's some kind of incident and they're not getting along, we will, first they would speak with their RAs. We have an RA assigned to each building, 1 RA per floor, and we follow steps to see if we can actually, see if we can work it out between those roommates. It goes to the RA, the SRA, they try to talk to both students to see if it's an issue that can be worked out. And then if it can't be worked out, it goes to the area coordinator. And if the area coordinator sees that they need to be moved, she will request to move that student with the operations coordinator. And that's if they, and then when they check in August, say for instance, and I know that we have some issues where students meet their roommates online during the summertime, and that's kind of sort of, it's not a big issue, but some students go and look at students' profile. They may not like one thing that's on a picture that they see. We will have walk day, and it's scheduled for August the 31st, but the students still have to move into their original space before they're able to move for walk day. And walk day is scheduled for August the 31st and the September the 1st for those 2 days for students to do walk day. But if they're going up a space, they will have to make sure that they're able to pay the difference between the current space that they're in.
Good information. Thank you, Ms. Barfield. So that actually answers a question that was in the chat about having a friend that you want to live with. If they did not book that room together and they're not already roommates, they have to wait until walk day, which is August the 31st and September the 1st.
Yes.
And also, if they live in a traditional dorm and they're moving to an apartment style, you have to pay the difference because those dorms are not the same price.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Making sure I had it right. So someone wants to know, can headboards be brought in?
Yes, it just depends on how you can't put any nails or anything in the wall, but we have had students bring the decorative headboards to put on their bed. So yes, long as it's not involving putting nail holes in the wall.
Okay. And is there a way that students can meet their roommates before moving in?
No. The students, if they have been assigned a roommate, they can go into their My Housing portal and they'll see that student's first and last name. We don't give out any other information about the student. Most of the students find their roommates on social media, and that's how they meet. I know they have that Twitter account, GramFam25, and I think a lot of them are connecting
That
through there.
hashtag. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's a question about curfews. It's asking specifically about traditional dorms, but are there curfews on campus?
There is a curfew for outsiders that come onto campus. It's at 10 o'clock, but there is a visitation policy where students can only have visitation from 12 noon to 12 midnight. But as I said before, for our spring, and we're still following the COVID guidelines, we haven't decided on if we're going to have visitation for the fall semester. But the students will receive information about their visitation policy, their check-in information. We will send the students a move-in guide with all that information on there. But we will decide this summer if they will have visitation. But there is a visitation policy between residents in a building, between residents going to other buildings, visiting, and are visiting male, same sex, or different. There is a 12 o'clock curfew that we do enforce.
Okay, and I'm going to ask this last question and then I'm going to shift into Mr. Filson.
Okay.
Is there a list of essential items needed for a dorm room that can be found online?
Yes, you'll go to gram.edu, click on student life, click on campus living, and you'll see what to bring on, I think it's what to bring. Let's make sure. Let me make sure. But it does say what to bring, but they will get that campus move-in guide, and it will be on that campus move-in guide that we'll send out.
Okay. There's a question before I shift to Mr. Filson. I'm going to answer this one last question and then we're going to move along about exploring the campus with parents. We were not offering face-to-face tours for over a year due to COVID, and we opened that back up at the end of April. So if you would like to book a tour, you can do that online. There is going to be a face-to-face parent session that is a part of orientation. It's not been hashed out yet because there are so many people and we still want to, I know the world is opening back up, but we're still, trying to do things in a socially distant manner because we just don't want to flood any university facilities because we've not done that in over a year and we don't even know that the faculty is prepared. So I'm going to say there will be something the weekend of move-in, which is August the 7th, right, Ms. Barfield? Or the 6th?
August 6th, 7th, and 8th.
So there's going to be parent sessions held on that weekend, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, and then the students start face-to-face orientation the 9th through the 13th. Ms. Jones, the first part of orientation is already available. It was sent to your students' email about a month and a half ago now, I think, maybe. But the first part is completely about processes and procedures, and then the second part is going to be more of them learning Grambling, and that happens the week during the freshman welcome week or new student welcome week. Yeah, the one that is going to be in person is going to be, there'll be 5 different sessions from the 9th to the 13th. that they'll do between the hours of 8 and 12. And then after that, they can participate in the Welcome Week activities. It's kind of a part of trying to help them understand time management and getting business out of the way first and then moving into the kind of fun stuff. If we start that trend now, we wanted to kind of, help them through their matriculation. So that's the point of that. And I don't want to keep taking your time, Mr. Fieldston, because you look like you're ready to talk. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to drop my email. If you want to email me, feel free. Go ahead, Mr. Fieldston. The floor is yours. I'm muting and I'm cutting my camera off.
Hey, so good evening, everyone. I don't have much to say. I know the police are not the favorite person that people like to talk to. I'll give you all the University Police Department number. It's very important that the students have it as well. So our phone number is 318-274-2222. I'll drop it in the chat as well. 318-274-2222 is the University Police Department phone number. Of course, if the students have an emergency, they can, of course, call 911. It just takes a little bit longer for the call to be rerouted back to the University Police Department. The campus is, of course, a weapon-free, smoke-free, alcohol-free, fight-free, tobacco-free campus. So the same rules as most places apply here on campus. Our department is staffed by officers that are trained at a police academy. We're required to go to a police academy. Someone is here 24/7, 365. So in the event that something does happen, University Police is the primary law enforcement agency for the campus. Any outside agencies will then have to be contacted by University Police. One thing that Ms. Barfield mentioned, and I think is very important, is the renter's insurance. In the event that items are lost or stolen, of course, you file a police report, but the police department does not replace those items. I know before some people have asked in previous sessions, well, when it's lost, is there like an account that the university replaces those items? Hopefully we can recover them, but in the event that we can't, that's where the renter's insurance will come into play. I also encourage our students to walk in groups, stay in areas, that are, lit as possible. If they're walking at nighttime, especially, to walk in groups. The cafeteria, of course, on campus is open 24 hours. So from Freshman Village, where all of the freshmen stay, to the cafeteria is not that far, but it could be dark sometimes, where groups are very important. Encourage the students as well when they come to campus to get their Tiger One cards. The ID will be very critical for a lot of things that the campus is moving. Even the copy machines that we're using on campus now that have been installed are requiring an ID card to print from. So just know that the University Police Department is here. I will drop my contact information in the chat as well. I definitely appreciate you all for enrolling or allowing your students to enroll into Grambling. Great opportunity, and we look forward to meeting them all in the fall. That's all I have, Ms. Grayson, unless anyone has questions.
Thank you. So, okay. Can students request police escorts if needed, like in extreme circumstances?
So it kind of depends on the circumstance. Part of the state of Louisiana insurance does not allow police officers to give students rides unless there is an emergency situation. That it's kind of a really thin area with that due to the insurance requirements. If something happens, then the state is liable. Of course, if the student is walking from point A to point B, we can try to get an officer to that area. Just usually in the Freshman Village area, that's the area that the officers will spend a lot of time in this upcoming fall, with us having the return to campus and expecting hopefully a full house. Back to normal. Freshman Village is kind of the popular area. A lot of the upperclassmen like to come to that side of campus. It's close to the yard. It's close to the cafeteria. So that's an area. There are emergency boxes and emergency buttons that are available on campus. So in the event that the students have to are in an area and they see something and they need to push the emergency box, that contacts the university police department immediately, dispatches an officer to that location as well. I'm gonna start reading the chat because I'm reading the questions.
You're
And
fine.
there is the police department, of course, has a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. The Facebook is more so for parents. The parents are not as active on Twitter. The students are very active on Twitter. So you post something on Twitter, they'll retweet it, real quick. Facebook, I manage our department's social media currently. Trying to train someone else to do that in the just as a backup. But we do post on social media. For example, when it snowed for a week here earlier this year, I posted a lot of pictures and videos on our Facebook page to kind of keep parents updated because they were concerned. I know when your students come, they're going to come and enjoy college, and they're not going to call mom and daddy as much as you probably may like. You can, of course, contact the police department, and we can do a welfare check if need, or you can contact housing, and they can do those same things.
The last question that's for you.
In the event of active shooter, I know during the fall semester, during the beginning of the semester, we're planning I'm not sure what the talks are called, but during the housing meetings, we partnered with housing last year during their hall meetings where we attended to inform the students about the active shooter, the run, hide and fight process. I know there will be a time during the fall where we will have, more in-depth conversations with students in regards to active shooters or anything that just makes them feel uncomfortable. I feel, if there's somebody just hanging out that just doesn't look right, I don't feel like they belong here, then I would much rather them to call the police department to have someone to come and check it out than to just allow that to happen. I mean, if you all have kept up kind of with some things that have gone on, we've had incidents that occurred, that are sometimes are people that do not belong on campus. So again, contact the police department and we can speak about that. In the event that something arises where the students will have to be evacuated off the campus, communication will be given to the students. The students are the primary stakeholders. So that's why on their banner web, they need to make sure that they put accurate contact information when alerts are sent out through the about any type of emergency notifications are sent to the student contact information primarily that's listed on their banner web. Tasers, pepper spray are allowed. There's a gray area with that. I will say, sometimes the students get upset at their friends, and then when we get mad, they use those things. If those things are used as a self-defense, if someone's trying to attack me, then you're entitled to defend yourself. But if it becomes at that point a weapon, then that falls into another area. The state laws in Louisiana apply to the campus. So if a student violates a Louisiana state law, they can be arrested. They potentially can go to the Lincoln Parish Detention Center in Ruston, depending on the violation. That's why I'm saying the drugs and the weapons are not allowed on campus. The gates near the dorm areas are closed at nighttime. I want to say around 10 when the curfew time begins. Currently, there is no one manning those gates. They're locked and secured where there's one way for the students to get in. The hope in the future is to, create a checkpoint, especially in the freshman village area where there will be someone there. But that's something that we're working with our administration and our other stakeholders about currently.
What precautions does the university take against regarding sexual assault and active shooting situations?
There's a zero tolerance policy for all of those things. If you all have met with Title IX, I'm not sure.
Not
but
yet, they haven't.
Okay, when those things are reported to university police, we are required, all university staff are mandatory reporters. So we're required to report those to Title IX. Some students choose not to come to university police. They only want to do the Title IX process, which there is no criminal aspect involved. If they do decide to get university police involved, just as a city police department, if there's a sexual assault, then there's a process that has to take place, including a hospital visit if there's within a certain amount of time, the additional measures that go along with that. We're following those. Any leads or information that we receive that help, as well. But there's zero tolerance for, sexual assaults, fights, drugs, guns, any of that, student or non-student. It's all of those are illegal. Drugs and guns are illegal. It's considered a felony on campus. So if it's on campus, that's automatically a felony, which is automatically a ride to the Lincoln Parish Detention Center. So we're doing everything we can. If there are, and that's why there are more students than police. So if there's information or things that the students see, contact the police so that we're made aware. A lot of times, I'll be honest, I have social media. I find out more stuff that the students post on Twitter than they actually report to anyone. And so if we don't know, they don't report and tell us anything, it's no way for us to, be aware. And then, it's great for them to tell their parents. I know they call their parents and tell them, but you all are at home, so if we know something here, we can, try to expedite the process to make sure that they're safe here on the campus.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So, guys, we're nearing the end. We have about 7 minutes. So if you have any last minute questions that you want to drop in the chat, feel free. Ms. Barfield, I believe, did you put the contact information for housing in the chat, Ms. Barfield?
Let me do that now.
Okay.
Of course, we have two important numbers for the students to remember, especially for maintenance, because the students will have maintenance issues, and of course, they would want to report it. That number for maintenance is 318-274-6162. And we also have an after-hour emergency service, and that number is 318-247-0313, and the students can report emergency issues 24/7. A maintenance guy will call back within 30 minutes to see what the student's issue is. As long as they leave it on, you have to make sure that they do follow the prompt when leaving emergency work orders. Also, going back to the safety issue, we have sometimes students do prop their doors open. They may be going down the hall to a friend's room or going upstairs. And sometimes students tend to prop their doors open. We advise students not to do that. Always lock their door, always deadbolt their doors when they're leaving their space. The deadbolt do add extra security to their rooms. So each time a student leave out the room, if a student's inside the room, they're able to deadbolt their doors. That information actually can be found online at gram.edu up under campus living on how to deadbolt your doors when you're leaving out or if you're inside of your space for security.
Can I add something as well, Ms. Barfield, that you said?
Ms. Barfield, put those numbers in the chat while he's talking.
I'll say this real quick. There are some students that come to campus that are not coming for the right reason. So if your student is housed on campus and they have a roommate that is doing something in violation of the university policy or the state law, it behooves your student to tell. If your roommate is smoking weed and then the police comes to the room and no one has said anything, then to me, I don't know who's smoking, so, and that's a fine from the fire marshal. I think it's at least $500
Yes.
fine, as well as that a criminal aspect of it that comes into play. And then we also have to report to the student conduct officer. Your student can get in trouble just by something that their roommate did and they, don't report it. So please make sure that you tell them when they come, they are adults, but they have to, I know nobody wants to be a snitch, nobody wants to tell, but if my roommate is doing something, or if my roommate has something in that room that I know makes me feel uncomfortable or is not safe, tell immediately before it escalates to be something else.
Ms. Barfield, are out-of-state students allowed to leave belongings in a secure area between holiday breaks?
Yes, as long as they're registered between fall and spring. If they're registered, a registered student for the spring semester, they can leave their items inside their room. But of course, after summer, when they check out in May, of course, everything has to be removed in, but they are allowed to keep their items in from fall to spring. If spring break, Easter, Mardi Gras, they keep their items in their rooms.
Okay, so we are around about 3 minutes before we're done here. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in, especially those of you that tuned in all 3 days. And those of you that couldn't make it, don't worry, I'm going to have all of these recordings on the website next week. All students will receive a Tiger One card. They have to have one. If the student is not going to be on campus for summer 2, then they don't need to worry about their Tiger One card until they get here. And you don't receive a Tiger One card until after you're completely registered. So once they've completed the registration process and paid all of the fees, then they will get a Tiger One card, because that is what they use to receive their meals and everything else.
I just seen that concerning the summer 2, do you have to pay another fee for summer session 2 to get a room assignment? No, as long as you have a fall room assignment, you don't have to pay to get a summer 2 room assignment. You would just need to complete the summer 2 application.
I see you said, what about my question? But I don't see a question.
I think I just answered one of them.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that. Okay, well,
parking passes.
How much are parking passes?
They're $14. They can get those from the University Police Department. You register online currently under the banner. There's a section that says U Park. They can enter their vehicle information. All they have to do is come to the police department with their license, registration, and proof of insurance. And if they have a copy of the receipt where it shows that they're paid, just tell them to screenshot that or print the receipt that they have on their banner when they bring that to the police department. Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5. And on Fridays, the university closes at 11:30. So it's 7:30 to 11:30 on Fridays.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining. My email is graysonb@graham.edu. I put it in the chat already, but I'll put it back in there because I see someone wants to ask me a question, and this Zoom is about to be over because it's the free one. When I do these sessions again in June, I'll have a new Zoom account with unlimited time and everything like that. What were you saying, Fizz? I'm sorry.
Also provide my contact information when you email.
Okay, I'm gonna hurry up and drop them in the chat, y'all. Screenshot them. Yes, freshmen are allowed to have cars on campus, but they are not allowed to drive to class as of now. Parking spaces in front of academic buildings are reserved for employees and students that commute. We have less than a minute, so I'm dropping my info real quick. I'm also going to do a few more of these sessions in June, so don't worry. So Grayson, that's mine. And Filson, is it Filson B? Huh? You're muted. I'm sorry.
I just posted it real quick.
Oh, okay. You posted it already. Good deal. So, guys, go ahead and screenshot the chat real quick before the meeting ends. Thank you for tuning in. Graham fam, thank you for entrusting